Chapter 11. Reproduction in Plants. We will learn reproduction in plants, asexual reproduction in plants, sexual reproduction in plants. Try to answer. Do all plants produce seeds? What is the importance of pollination for plants? All the plants and animals die after completing their life cycle. But, before they die, many of them produce young ones of their own kind. The process by which living organisms produce their young ones is known as reproduction. Reproduction is the most important biological activity of living organisms and maintains the continuity of life on this planet. Reproduction in plants. In the life cycle of a plant, flowers change into fruits, which have seeds in them. Seeds germinate to produce new plants. So, flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant. A plant, however, can also reproduce from its vegetative parts, that is, roots, stems and leaves. Depending upon the number of parents involved, there are two modes of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is needed, resulting in offsprings that are genetically identical to the parent. This type of reproduction occurs without seeds. In sexual reproduction, both parents are needed, one male and one female. The offsprings have a mix of inherited genes. This type of reproduction occurs by the formation of seeds. Asexual reproduction in plants. Asexual reproduction can take place in an organism by the following methods: 1. Budding, 2. Fragmentation, 3. Spore formation, 4. Vegetative propagation. Budding. Budding may be defined as the process in which a small part of the body of the parent organism grows out as a small bulb-like projection called the bud. This bud, after being developed, detaches itself from the parent's body to grow independently into a new organism. It takes place in microorganisms such as yeast. Budding in yeast. Yeast is a unicellular organism which reproduces by budding. First of all, a small bud appears as an outgrowth from the body of the parent cell. Then the nucleus of the parent cell splits into a daughter nucleus and migrates into the daughter cell. In the end, the newly formed bud separates and grows into a new yeast cell. Sometimes, a new bud arises from the previous one before it is detached from the parent. This forms a chain of buds. Activity. Aim: to observe the process of budding in yeast. Materials required: yeast powder, sugar, a ball and some water. Procedure: take some yeast powder from a bakery or a chemist shop. Now take a pinch of yeast and place it in a ball with some water. Add a spoonful of sugar and shake to dissolve it. Keep it in the warm part of a room. After an hour, put a drop of this liquid on a glass slide and observe under a microscope. Observation: after 1 hour we will observe the small bulb-like projection coming out from the yeast cell. This is called a bud. The bud gradually grows and gets detached from the parent cell and forms a new yeast cell. The new yeast cell grows, matures and produces more yeast cells. Conclusion: this activity shows that yeasts reproduce by budding. Spore formation. Spore formation is a method of asexual reproduction which is found in non-flowering plants such as fungi, ferns and mosses. Ferns have special leaves that have spore-bearing structures called sori. In this method of reproduction, the parent plant produces hundreds of tiny spores which can grow into new plants. Each spore is a tiny, spherical, unicellular body which is covered by a hard protective layer to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature and low humidity. Once the spores are formed, the sori bursts and releases them into the atmosphere. Whenever the spores come in contact with suitable conditions where enough moisture is present, they grow into new plants. Do you know? Ferns and mosses are also called lower plants as they do not have roots, flowers and seeds. So, they multiply with the help of spores. Spore formation in fungi. In fungi such as the bread mold, Rhizopus, numerous spores are produced within sacs called sporangia, singular, sporangium. The sporangia are knob-like structures which are present at the top of the thread-like structures called hyphae, singular, hypha. When these sporangia burst, the spores are scattered by rain or wind, and under appropriate conditions they develop into more rhizopus plants, provided they fall on a suitable substance such as moist slice of bread. Fragmentation. Fragmentation may be defined as the process of breaking up of an organism into small parts, each of which can grow into a new complete individual. This process of asexual reproduction is found in green algae such as Spirogyra. They are thread-like plants that grow in stagnant water, ponds and lakes. The filament of Spirogyra breaks into 2 or more fragments. Then, each fragment develops into a new individual. Vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction is the production of new plants from the vegetative parts of the plant. Roots, stems and leaves are called the vegetative parts of a plant. This method of asexual reproduction is found in such as sweet potato, onion, guava and bryophyllum. The production of new plants from the parts of old plant can take place naturally or artificially. Natural methods. Natural vegetative propagation takes place from roots, stems and leaves of a plant. By roots. In some plants, vegetative reproduction can take place from roots. For example, in sweet potatoes and dahlia, the roots bear adventitious buds on them. When these buds are buried into the moist soil, they grow and develop into a new plant. By stems. Vegetative propagation can take place from the stem in ginger and potatoes. In these plants, the stem bears small outgrowths called buds. When a cutting of such a stem along with the bud is buried in the moist soil, then a new plant develops from these buds. Stem tubers. Stem tubers are modified stems to store food. They are found in plants such as potato. The tuber of potato is a swollen part of an underground stem which bears a number of nodes or eyes. Each eye bears 1 or more buds. New plants are produced from the buds on the eyes. Bulbs. Bulbs are very short underground stems surrounded by fleshy scale leaves which store food. Bulbs are found in onion, garlic, etc. Bulbs contain several buds near the node. These new buds can eventually develop into new plants. Rhizomes. Rhizomes are root-like stems. For example, ginger that grows horizontally under the ground. New roots and shoots form at the nodes with shoots growing upwards to form new plantlets. Lateral buds grow out to form new rhizomes. Runners. Runners are stems that grow horizontally above the ground. In plants such as grasses and wild strawberries, shoots develop from the sides which have buds. These buds grow into new plants. Corms. In plants such as gladiolus and colocasia, reproduction takes place with the help of swollen underground stems called corms. These swollen stems with stored food give rise to new plants. By leaves. Leaves of some plants grow into a new plant. The new plants can detach from the leaves and develop into a full individual plant after falling on the ground. The leaves of bryophyllum reproduce vegetatively by the formation of adventitious buds on their margins. When the buds come in contact with moist soil, each bud becomes capable of growing into a new plant. Do you know? Bryophyllum has many medicinal uses and is commonly used to treat a variety of skin problems, blood circulation, and in controlling of blood sugar levels. Artificial methods. A number of artificial methods to propagate plants are widely used in agriculture and horticulture. The process of propagating plants through artificial methods is called as artificial propagation. Cutting, grafting, layering, and tissue culture are different methods of artificial propagation. Cutting. In this method, a healthy young branch of a plant having leaf buds is cut off and planted in moist soil. After some time, roots develop from this cutting and it grows into a new plant. This method is commonly used in sugarcane, rose, bougainvillea, and hibiscus. Activity. Aim: to observe the method of artificial propagation by cutting. Procedure: cut a branch of rose with a node part of the stem branch at which a leaf arises. Bury the cutting into the soil. Water the cutting every day and observe its growth. Observation: after a few days, we will observe that it grows roots and forms a new plant. Conclusion: a rose plant grows by artificial propagation. Grafting. In this method, the stems of two different plants are joined together so as to produce a new variety of fruit plants containing the characteristics of both. Out of the two plants, one plant has a strong root system while the other has a strong shoot system. The plant of which the root system is taken is called stalk, while the other plant of which the shoot is selected is known as scion or graft. The stalk and the scion are fitted together by making slanting cuts in them and bound tightly with a piece of cloth and then covered with a polythene sheet. This method of propagation is used in mango, apple, rose, banana, pear, grape, pineapple, peach, and many other fruit plants. Layering. In this method, a branch of the plant is lowered down and bent towards the ground and then covered with the moist soil, leaving just the tip of this branch above the ground. After some time, roots develop from that buried part of the branch. This branch is then cut off along with the roots from the parent plant and develops into a new plant. This method of asexual reproduction is used in the production of plants such as bougainvillea, jasmine, and grapes. Tissue culture. A method of propagating or reproducing plants under sterile conditions is known as tissue culture. This method is used for large-scale plant multiplication to develop exact copies of plants with desired qualities, which are disease-free and have a higher yield. In this method, a small piece of tissue called the explant is cut off from the growing tip of the plant. The tissue piece is put into the culture solution taken in a beaker under controlled conditions. The culture solution consists of essential nutrients that are required for the growth and division of cells. The plant cells grow rapidly in the culture medium and get converted into a group of cells. These are then shifted in other beakers. Cells are allowed to grow into small plantlets. These plantlets are then shifted in the soil where they grow into a full plant. Plants such as asparagus and chrysanthemum are grown through this method. Advantages of vegetative propagation. 1. It is an easier and more certain method of reproduction than growing plants from seeds. 2. Plants which do not produce seeds can be grown by this method. 3. Plants grown through this method require less time to grow. 4. Plants grown through this method are exact copies of the parent plant. 5. Desired varieties and qualities of fruits and plants can be produced by vegetative propagation. Sexual reproduction in plants. Another mode of reproduction is the sexual mode. In flowering plants, flowers are the reproductive organs and the most attractive parts of the plant. These plants contain male reproductive organs and female reproductive organs for the production of male and female gametes, sex cells, respectively. These gametes fuse together to form a zygote which develops into the embryo of the seed. Parts of a typical flower. A complete flower is made up of 4 whorls. These are sepals, petals, stamens and pistil. Sepals, they make the outermost whorl of a flower and are green in color. The sepals collectively form calyx. The function of sepals is to protect the inner parts of the flower during its initial stages of growth when it is in the form of a bud. Petals make the second whorl of a flower. Petals collectively form corolla. The petals can be of different colors and their main function is to attract the insects and birds which help in pollination. Stamens make the third whorl of a flower. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of a plant. It consists of 2 parts, filament and anther. Filament is a tubular structure. Anther is a knob-like structure containing pollen sacs filled with pollen grains. Pollen grains act as the male gametes or the male reproductive cells. Pistil. Pistil is the centrally located female reproductive part of a flower. It is made up of stigma, style and the ovary. A pistil has a swollen base called ovary. The stigma is a flattened structure which receives the pollen from the anthers through the process of pollination. The style is a long tubular structure which connects stigma with ovary and provides passage to the pollen tube. The ovary contains numerous ovules. Ovules contain the female gametes of a plant. Types of flowers. According to their reproductive whorls, flowers are classified into 2 types. The flowers which contain either only the pistil or only the stamen are called unisexual flowers. Corn, papaya and cucumber have unisexual flowers. The flowers which contain both stamen and pistil are called bisexual flowers. Mustard, rose and petunia have bisexual flowers. Pollination. Pollination can be defined as the transfer of pollen grains from the anthers of stamens to the stigma of pistil. Pollination can be of 2 types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower or another flower on the same plant is called self-pollination. It takes place in bisexual plants. Cross-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower on a different plant of the same kind is called cross-pollination. It takes place in both bisexual as well as unisexual plants. Agents of pollination. The cross-pollination requires some external agents to carry the pollen grains from one flower to another. These agents include the insects, birds, wind, and water. They are called pollinating agents or agents of pollination. Insects. Insect pollination is carried out by insects such as honeybees, butterflies, moths, etc. This process of pollination occurs in plants where they have colored petals and a strong odor to attract insects, for example, rose. The insects visit flowers in order to collect nectar. During this visit, the pollen grains released from the anthers stick to their body and get carried away to some other flower where the body, when brushes against the stigma, transfers the pollen to bring about pollination. Birds. Hummingbirds, sunbirds and honey-eaters are common bird pollinators. These birds are smaller in size and have long beaks which help them to suck the nectar from the flowers. While doing so, some pollen grains get attached to their beaks and get carried away to other flowers where they get deposited to the stigmas of these flowers. In this way, pollination gets completed. Wind. This is the most common method of pollination. Wind-pollinated plants like ragweeds do not have sepals and petals, nor do they produce nectar to attract birds or insects. As a result of it, these plants use wind as their agent of pollination. The pollen grains of such plants are very smooth and light to be carried away by wind. Water. Pollination is done by water in those plants which are found either inside the water or on the surface of water. Aquatic plants such as Vallisneria release their pollen grains into the water, which is passively carried to other flowers by water currents for pollination. All the aquatic plants are not pollinated by water. Most of them bear flowers above the water surface and are pollinated by wind or insects. Fertilization. Fertilization may be defined as the fusion of male gamete, pollen, with the female gamete, egg cell, in the ovules. When the pollen grains get transferred to the stigma of the same or some other flower of the same kind, then stigma of the flower secretes a sugar-containing liquid. The pollen grains respond to this liquid and start growing. After pollination, a thin tube is sent out into the pistil from the pollen grains called the pollen tube. The pollen tube carrying the male cells grows in size through style to reach the female ovule in the ovary. As it reaches the ovule, the tip of the tube opens and releases the male gametes. In the ovule, the male gamete fuses with the female gamete to form the zygote. Seed and fruit formation. After the formation of zygote, all parts of the flower's sepals, petals, style, stigma and stamen usually wither off, that is, they get dry and fall off. Ovary persists and then ripens to form a fruit. The ovule, which stores food, converts into seeds. The zygote utilizes the reserved food in the ovule to divide and transform into an embryo. Meanwhile, the walls of the ovules develop hard layers of the seed. Thus, the seed contains a young plant and stored food within a hard layer. A seed develops from an ovule after fertilization. It consists of a tough coat enclosing an embryo which is made up of a plumule, a radicle and one or two cotyledons. The radicle is the embryonic root which grows and develops into the root system of the plant. The plumule is the embryonic shoot which grows and develops into the shoot system of the plant. The fruit which is formed from the mature ovary may be fleshy and juicy as mango, apple and orange, or as hard as almonds and walnuts. Seed dispersal. A plant produces a large number of seeds that grow into new plants. To grow, seeds require enough space, sunlight, minerals and water to germinate. If the seeds get scattered only around the plant, they will not be able to grow since each one of them compete for these factors and will not be able to develop into a healthy plant. Therefore, it is necessary to get seeds dispersed for proper germination and growth. Seed dispersal is a method of scattering seeds by different agents over a large area. Agents for seed dispersal. Nature has appointed different agents for the dispersal of seeds. Different agents for dispersal include wind, water, birds, animals, and even self-explosion. Dispersal by water. Many aquatic plants and plants that live near water have seeds that can float and are carried by water. For example, a coconut seed becomes light as it ripens and dries. This enables it to get dispersed by floating water. The lotus fruit is also dispersed by water as it is spongy and can float easily. Dispersal by wind. It is one of the common modes of dispersal for seeds that are light in weight and have hairy structures. These are blown away by wind to far distances. Some examples are cotton, dandelion, and drumsticks. Dispersal by animals. Animals often serve as seed carriers. Some seeds such as xanthium have hook-like structures with which they get stuck onto the body of animals or on the clothes of human beings moving to different places. They then get dispersed to distant places. Birds and other animals eat the fleshy fruits such as guava and tomato. The fruit is digested by the animal, but the seeds pass through the digestive tract, and are dropped in other locations. Some animals like squirrels bury seeds and help in the dispersal by storing nuts in their burrows under the soil. When the conditions become favorable, these seeds germinate to give rise to new plants. Self-explosion. Sometimes fruits such as peas, geranium and balsam burst open forcibly after drying when they are exposed to the environment. The force with which they burst off scatters the seeds in all directions. Germination of seed. Germination is the process of developing seeds into new plants. Once the seeds are scattered, they need certain environmental conditions for their growth. Usually, this is determined by how deep the seed is planted, water availability, air, soil, and temperature. When all these conditions become favorable, the seed starts germinating into a baby plant with the help of food stored in the seeds. When water is taken by a seed, it activates the enzymes present in it. These enzymes change the stored food into the soluble form and diffuses it into radicle and plumule for growth. The radicle starts growing first and becomes the root. Then, the plumule starts growing and forms the shoot. Once the baby plant starts growing, it makes its own food by the process of photosynthesis. Keywords: reproduction, the process by which living organisms produce their young ones. Sorry, spore-bearing structures found in leaves of some plants such as ferns. Spore, a tiny, spherical, unicellular body which is covered by a hard protective layer to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature and low humidity. Rhizome, root-like stems that grow horizontally under the ground. Pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from the anthers of stamens to the stigma of pistil. Fertilization, the fusion of male gamete with the female gamete. Germination, the process of developing seeds into new plants.